have you ever had a feeling someone's watching you, or the sensation of someone following you? Many more feelings and sensations for this is the After Dark podcast. Welcome back, guys, to episode 6 of the After Dark podcast. Hopefully, you guys had a really good day today, and hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful evening tonight. Autumn is finally upon us. You actually can feel it in the air if you live in California. Uh, I don't know about other places. Hopefully, by where you're living, it's nice and chilly, and we actually feel like if we are um, in autumn, right? Hopefully, that's the case. So, how was your day today? Hopefully, it was full of wonderful surprises and the best, right? My day was alright. I went out a little bit. This time I got I got my drawing. I got the drawing like at the time that it was supposed to be up. So it's up in my Instagram if ye are following your boy. What was that? You saw that? Okay, yeah. So let me get these tags out of the way, and we'll get straight to the story. By the way, I do apologize if you hear any background noise other than the rain and the thunder that you hear. As per usual, this podcast isn't much about visuals rather than just audio, which should be just my voice and the rain that I have for atmosphere. If I could put the background even darker, I would, but I don't own this GIF. All right, and the track you hear in the background, it does come from YouTube, so I don't own that either. But, so please spare your boy. Spare me from all the bad things. And hopefully the live stream doesn't end abruptly again like it usually does when I am live streaming games, or like the other time. It ended the podcast really quick and right towards when I was about to do my outro. That's very rude, very rude. So, beginning the podcast, let me tell you guys something. If you guys are listening to my podcast on your phone, before you get out of the parking, set the phone aside. We're going to be on for a while. And probably, maybe before you even get to your destination, the podcast is going to be done. So don't touch your phone. Don't mess with your phone while driving. Alright? Those texts and stuff from your friends or girl or boyfriend can wait. Alright? Just text them and be like, hey, you know what? I'm on the way. Don't bother me. I am listening to the After Dark podcast after all, okay? And, they'll understand. Hopefully they'll understand. Because, I had a weird relationship a long time ago where, like, I was driving a 1985 Honda Civic, the 2-door, it was a hatchback. And I love that car. Right. Okay, hold up. This isn't part of the actual story, of personal story that I'm going to say. But this is like, relating to what I'm what I'm talking to you guys about the whole don't text and drive or talk on your phone and drive. But yeah, so it was a while back. I was like on 10th grade, 11th or so, and I was driving my dad's 1985 Honda Civic hatchback, and it was a 2-door. It was automatic, and I love that car. Even if the knob was missing from like the shifter or whatever, even if it was missing, I still like that car. Damn it, and I don't know, man. That car was gonna be mine, but unfortunately things happened, and the neighbor that we had at the time just pretty much had it for us, and I don't know. Called the city, and then the city took the car away, got impounded, and whatever. Well, anyways, So I was driving back. I was driving in LA, but back from Glendale to LA. And all of a sudden, I hear my phone ring, and I was like, no, man, I ain't taking that crap. That shit can wait. But it kept ringing and ringing and ringing, messages after messages after messages, and it got out of control, pretty much. Uh, Hold up. I am still trying to fix the, uh, the tags over on Yield Twitter. But yeah, it got out of control, and then once I got to my destination or where I had to be, I looked at my phone, and oh my god, I can still remember all the messages and voicemails by the person that I was in a relationship with that left me. Pretty much ending the relationship because I didn't answer the phone or answer the text. And then after that, I texted her being like, yo, you know what, I was driving. What's your problem? you know? And she apologized, but, I'm all like, nah, if we're going to keep being like that, I think we should just leave it as is. So, don't text and drive. Damn it. That is what I'm trying to say. Don't text and drive. If you are in an understanding relationship, they will understand. So, yeah. Anyways, I forgot one tag. Damn it, I forgot a tag. Hold up. Okay. So, let's get started. Okay, so that wasn't the story that I wanted to share with you guys. The very first story that I do share with you guys on the podcast. But yeah, that was just pretty much me trying to say that don't text and drive. Alright, don't do that. Or don't call anybody and drive. Because that's equally as bad. Okay, so yesterday, what we were talking about? We were talking about a lot of things, and I still remember that we are going to be finishing the other two stories that we need from that website, which I'll give you the website right now in a bit. Let me see. Personal story. Oh, okay, I got one. Back when I was in high school, and I told you guys that pretty much growing up, I was moving all over the place like a ping pong ball. And wait, that's a ping pong? No. One of those like machines. I forgot what they're called. Pinball. Like a pinball machine. Just back and forth from place to place. And like I went through three high schools. So Roosevelt High School in East LA. Pomona High School, which is self-explanatory, in Pomona, California. All of these were in California, and Glendale High School in Glendale, California, as well. And this happened when I was on my third and final high school, and this was in 12th grade. And I used to like shack in with my aunt at the time with her two kids, which are my cousins. So she let me stay for the whole year, which thank her. And we were cool, so like over the week, Monday to Friday, I would stay at my aunt's house, and Friday afternoon till Sunday night. No, wait. Okay, so Monday through Friday, I'll stay because I had school, and then in Friday afternoon, I would come back home, and then play a little bit, and because I didn't bring my consoles with me, I didn't bring my games, I was pretty much, how would you say, like renting the place. I was sleeping in the living room, in other words. I had no TV, no nothing, so I would come back home, play all my video games, start jamming out my guitar and whatnot. And then on Sunday night, I come back to my aunt's house, and then rinse and repeat. It's the same thing over for a whole year. So this happened when I was living with my aunt's house during the week. And pretty much since we used to live when I used to stay with my aunt's house. She used to live, or she still lives right now, I think, right next, like a couple blocks away from the mall, like Glendale Galleria and the um, what's the other one called? The Americana. And my cousin would be like, "Hey, you know what? Let's just walk around at night." And we would always joke around, and we were talking about how like bringing the house down, dancing and stuff like that. When all of a sudden we hear something from her like maintenance closet, where she would keep all the detergents and stuff like that. We looked at each other, and then like we both thought, we're like, okay, you know what? Maybe because you're fooling around too much, you're shaking the house up. What I mean? It's possible. So we checked, and everything was fine. And when we were walking back, like we were getting ready to go out, right? So all of a sudden we hear it again, but this time it actually spilled. Like all the detergent would spill all over the floor of her kitchen, and we got freaked out. And I told him, you know what, yo, dude, you got a ghost in here, man. Trust. And he didn't want to believe me, but it was self-explanatory. Everything was stacked up neatly, and all of a sudden, the detergent just fell over, knocked on the floor, wasting it. In other words, because come on, you don't want to scoop the dirt with the detergent. So, we left. Okay, we left, and we came back later that night, and well, to our surprise, nothing was there again. But every chance I get, well, I don't talk to the guy anymore, but back then, every chance I would get, I would bring it up and say, "Hey, has a ghost been messing around with your detergent?" Yeah, just messing around. But yeah, that was pretty creepy, but not very impactful. Okay. So we're back in the website called theoccultmuseum.com. Okay, occultmuseum.com, and the actual page is called theoccultmuseum.com/7 sinister true ghost stories to read in the dark. And in between all those words, there is like a hyphen. So if you guys want to check that out for yourselves and read for yourselves, you can do so. So we left off at number 6, the sixth story of this website, and this story is called "The Policeman and the Soldier." I had a call to a residence for a mental evaluation, or a 5150 Anyways, I get there and speak to a 50-something-year-old woman who states her 20-something-year-old son is under the influence of an unknown drug, and kept repeating that he can't go into his room because there was an old man hanging. There was an old man hanging in his room. She stated she had Okay. I get it now. She stated she was too scared to go in his room and investigate it for herself because he constantly brings over friends that are drug addicts and is unsure if his claims were true or not. I then go speak to her son, who was clearly under the influence of a stimulant. He goes on to tell me that he was told by a spirit to not enter the bedroom because her father, dressed in military Class A uniform, was hanging in his bedroom. I checked the room out, and of course, there was nobody hanging in the room. As I'm in the middle of explaining to the mother that there was no body in the bedroom, a veteran officer arrives on the scene to assist me. He pulls me aside and stated earlier in his career he responded to this residence and this same bedroom. He had to investigate a suicide by hanging of an older male subject. He didn't remember all the details, so I looked it up in a report. Management system in my patrol car, and sure enough, the officer was correct. The subject who died was a World War II veteran and had dressed in his military uniform and hung himself. In my mind, I always thought that when they purchased the home, possibly this incident was disclosed to them. However, I thought the mother would have mentioned it to me. If it had been disclosed to her, she was genuinely concerned about her son and the allegations. And the story is by SMW 2102. Suicide is more common around the world nowadays because of a lot of people just, ending their lives and such. I mean, I get it. Life can be hard, and no one said the life is going to be easy, especially when you come back from devastation or war. A veteran with so much like stress going on in its head. You just can't help but think if they're okay. They come back home with a big smile and and a relief face. That like I'm okay, but what do they really feel inside? Are they alright? And when we ask, we always get the same response. I'm okay, really. But maybe, a little talking wouldn't hurt anybody. When I was growing up, suicide, it was more pungent, right? I mean, that's the word I'm trying to look for here. Um, it it was like it would manifest itself into these like classmates and people that I would see in school just going around and showing their scars in their wrist, just having to self-inflict the pain. And there goes my monitor. I can't see anything. I never got that. Like, why would you do that? I mean, you have problems, talk them out, or instead of hurting yourself, go to the gym, hurt a punching bag or something, do some push-ups, run around, scream your lungs out, but just don't do it. I mean, like I said, I understand. Life gets hard, and there are many, and I mean many obstacles to come across. But suicide ain't the way. My great great grandpa, I guess, the one that he said that don't be afraid of the dead, be afraid of the living. He would say that people who commit suicide are cowards because they won't face reality face to face. You know what I mean? And there's some truth to it. Like, I may sound happy when I am live streaming when I'm playing my games. I may sound happy, but I had and I still have my fair share of problems. But it's it's not gonna be enough to be like, yeah, I'm gonna take that blade and just ram it in, end it right here. I ain't gonna do that. I mean, if you're thinking about it, don't do it. Alright, you have more to live for. I don't want to read a ghost story about one of you guys committing the big death, and I am here on my podcast next year reading about it. So don't do it. Do not do it. Put it down. Put down the thoughts. Okay, think happy thoughts. If you don't know how to draw, learn how to draw. Just get your mind off of it. Make new friends. Make better friends. All right, because obviously, if you're hanging around with the people and you still feel the same, they're obviously not good friends. Just make new friends, and just start life over. Don't do it. Do not do it. Next song's called. I mean, this next song. What am I singing to you guys? Wait, I was gonna sing a song. I just forgot. Anyways, the last story in this website before other things that I don't really want to know. It's called The Other Room. This is one my dad told me. When he and his brother were younger, they took a job to clean out some old lady's attic. That lady lived in a regular one-story house with a normal attic space. The kind where you can't stand up fully. You have to bend down and crawl everywhere. She had been hearing animal movements around and wanted some of her stuff pulled out of there before it got chewed up. For some reason, the attic only had one crawl space, and it was the living room off to the side. So they pulled up a folding ladder, put it underneath, and my uncle climbed and pushed the door open. He popped his head through the attic. Dimensions of space he damned was an exact replica of the living room underneath, complete with lighting and doorways leading to God knows where. My dad was standing underneath, looking up. He could tell something wasn't right by the light and the way the roof looked too far up, like getting vertigo. My uncle closed the door, apologizing to the lady, and they both took off. My dad said that his brother wouldn't talk to him until they were about a mile away. He just saw that look on his face, and when his brother said, "We gotta go," he didn't argue. The story was by Monkey Boy. And I do apologize because I'll be back. I gotta use the restroom. I drank too much water and now I am paying for it. So I'll come back with my analysis of the story. Alright? Stay tuned. Just listen to the sound of rain. I do apologize for that. When you gotta go, you gotta go. And I believe it was a story I read a while back about the Declaration of Independence. I believe somebody died while holding it in. So if you gotta go, excuse yourself. So if you're doing a podcast like me, just be like, hey, you know what? I'll be back. Just listen to whatever I put up, and yeah. So I do apologize for that, and let's get to analyzing the story. So they pulled a folding chair, the folding ladder underneath, and my uncle climbed up and pushed the door. He popped his head to the attic. Dimensions of space. What? That didn't make sense to me. It said dimensions of space be damned. Was an exact replica of the living room underneath. So the uncle found a replica of the room underneath. So it was pretty much, in other words, mirrored. Okay. Complete with lighting and doorways leading to God knows where. My dad was underneath looking at. Maybe this will be considered as a rift in time. Maybe. Do you guys believe in those? Do you guys believe in tears in space-time continuum? Or is that how you say it? A parallel universe? Just like we were talking about how mirrors are fascinating yet weird in a way. I mean, yes, you get a bunch of like a bunch of material just to make this one reflection, like one this reflective surface where anything or anyone that stands in front of it, you get a mirrored copy of yourself. But how? Wouldn't you think if somebody or something was reflecting you, wouldn't there be some imperfections in the way you see yourself in that reflection? Like, wouldn't it be blurry or just disfigured, or, you know? Maybe it has something to do with light. Scientists will come in and be like, yo, yes, how the light hits the reflective surface and it bounces off and this, and that, and blah, blah, blah. But that really doesn't explain what we see in front of us when we are looking at a reflective surface. Same thing with this story. The uncle went upstairs to see that he pretty much entered another universe, right? Where he saw the living room. So in his in okay, so in his world, in the world that he was in, he went up the attic, but to come out from the basement of the house, right? Or what if it was like a loop, you know? What do they call the Klein bottle or whatever it's called? I can't remember. Or like it was like a, how can I explain this? Like the original house, it was just like an infinite loop, you know? That's what I'm trying to say. An infinite loop, and he just he pretty much saw it. He saw the infinite loop. That's why he was so scared. That's why he just wanted to go away from that place. Have you guys played the game Portal? I was thinking of buying it, Portal 2, but I don't know. What if he saw was something like that, you know? A portal where he would stick something, or he would stick his face in there only to come out in the other end. It would have been interesting if he would have said that as soon as he poked his head out, he would see them trying to get in. You understand me? So that was the last story on the occultmuseum.com. So if you guys want to check that out, you can do so. Demons within the life system of. I'm just reading something off the old website. So, okay. So, personal story. Let's see. It's not my personal story, but I guess, since he's my uncle, I guess it counts, right? He told my mom, his mom, that when he had a job as a security guard, working in the graveyard shift, he said that he had a partner, and all of a sudden they kept hearing something. I forgot where he worked at, but it was definitely at night. He said that he would hear footsteps, so he would go and check it out. And his partner said that there's somebody behind him, but to his dismay, when my uncle turned around, there was nobody there. What would you guys do if somebody would have told you something is behind you, but when you turned around, there was nobody there? Would you run? This other website is called Jezebel.com, I believe it's called like that. And the whole website is called, let me just bring this down. Jezebel.com. 10 of the spookiest, scary stories you'll ever read. 1452 65 87 73. So, if you guys want to check that out, you can do so. And it's a 10, right? Yeah, and the story is called "The Little Girl Who Wasn't" by Lady Sparrow. I lived in a house from hell for 4 years. From age 11 to almost 16, there was constantly something happening. Doors flying open and shut, voices, footsteps. Nothing ever stayed where you put it. I was alone. I was alone there. A lot because both my parents worked and I was constantly terrified. One of the most gut leveling disturbing things, though, was the little girl in my bathroom. Every time I walked past my bathroom door, which was constantly since it was right outside my bedroom, I saw a little girl with blonde curly hair and rose-colored dress. She stood there, staring, looking like a photograph from 1905. I started keeping the door closed so I could walk by without seeing her, but she was always there. When I opened it, I once stepped in past her. I couldn't see her anymore, but I could feel her. She scared me, but I felt really sorry for her because she was trapped there, just like me, but probably forever. As the years went by, the things in the house continued to get worse. She started seeming darker. I started feeling like she wasn't really a little girl. I knew there was something ugly in this house, and I felt like it was presenting this sympathetic image to me. Then I started thinking I was completely losing my mind. One day, when I was 14, I had a friend from out of town come stay with me for a week. I hadn't told her anything whatsoever about the house because I didn't think she would come if I did. Right after she got there, we were sitting in my room and she left to go to the bathroom. About a minute later, she walked back with a puzzled look in her face and said, "So, like, there's a little girl in the bathroom. Um, yeah, she hangs out there. Blonde hair, curls, pink dress. Yeah, that's not really a little girl, don't you?" I almost threw up. I was so relieved and terrified and excited and ready to run out of the house screaming. She wouldn't use my bathroom the rest of the week, and I started using it as little as possible without pissing off my parents, who did not want to believe. Eventually, we moved out, and I could not have been happier. I distanced myself from it mentally as much as I could. Then, when I was 18, I took another friend on a road trip to pack up a few things I left in the house. My parents had managed to sell it, and I wouldn't for 5 more years. The minute we got to the property, my friend seemed uncomfortable. When we came around the bend in the long, steep driveway, he went completely white. I could tell something was wrong, but he insisted he was okay. So we got to work. After a while, he asked to use the bathroom and I directed him to mine. Not 20 seconds after he left, he came back running, gasping for breath, and then slammed the bedroom door behind him. He started babbling about a little blonde girl who isn't really a little girl. All of a sudden, he went dead still, looked in my eyes, and very solemnly said, "She's not happy with you. You left, and you weren't supposed to." We threw whatever we grabbed in two trips in my car after walked him to another bathroom, and waited outside the door, and got the fuck out at top speed. What do you guys think? But why wouldn't it be happy that she left, you know? She obviously didn't contribute to anything, so why would this being be angry that this little girl left a couple years ago? No one knows. What would you do? Would you tell your friend that your house is haunted, but still told them that if they wanted to come over? Would you try to convince them that there wasn't going to be anything, or would you not say a word and just continue having a sleepover like if it was normal? This next story is called Photographic Memory by Annie Bananas. I like that name. I grew up in New Mexico and was always very into the outdoors, hiking, camping, rock climbing, etc. One summer when I was 19, I went on a 4-day and 3-night camping trip near my parents' house on my own. Might sound weird, but I had been to this area many times and it was quite safe. Anyways, I brought my camera, took a lot of pictures. When I came back to develop my film, there were 3 extra pictures that I could take of me sleeping, one each night. None of my stuff was missing or stolen, and nothing happened, but it freaked me the hell out. Again, with what we covered a while back, phones and tablets pretty much being now the essentials that you would keep on your person every day because of phone calls, messages from your friends, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, kids, family members, or just to go into social media, liking pictures from other people, or making your own content. But that same thing that you keep so dear could also be sort of like a gateway to many other things to happen. For example, this girl in the story, she went camping almost right next to her parents' house. When she got back home, she found 3 pictures of her sleeping with the same camera she used. What would you guys do if you would have seen that? Or what would you guys do if all of a sudden you leave your phone behind at home, or you don't even know where your phone is, and you tell your friend, hey, can I borrow your phone? I need to make a phone call to see if I drop my phone anywhere. You know, you call your phone and all of a sudden you don't hear anything. But when you go back home, you see that your phone is right where you left it. But, you know, like with pictures you never took. Or what if you called your phone and all of a sudden somebody answered the phone, and when you go home again, you see the phone right where you left it. They say that spirits manifest themselves, or anything malevolent manifest themselves even stronger when they're provoked. And by provoking them, I say it would be like calling them out, making them appear themselves, taking a picture of them, you know? So, what would you guys do if that would happen to you all of a sudden? Would you throw away your phone and live phoneless, or would you shrug it off and be like, that was just a coincidence? This next story is called Losing Yourself in China by Nelly. So when I was barely 20 years old, I was traveling with a small group of people through China, and we were spending about 2 months in oh King Hao King Queen Hai. I don't know how to pronounce Chinese words properly, but it's a province which used a part of Tibet. Our destination was a specific town to teach English, but we've been stopping after often in towns and small cities along the way. One day, we arrived in a rural town, a very small, nothing unusual. We spent a couple of days there, shopping for food at the markets and walking around to see the sights, although there weren't many. This was the dead of winter in February, and all the grass in the hills and plains around the town were dead and brown. The overall feeling was that of a normal kind of bleakness, but any rural place has in winter. At this time in my life, there things were going amazingly, extraordinarily well for me, and I say that because my teenagehood had been rather darkly overcast. But the overwhelming good luck of being able to travel and those close friends I made in the last year had more than changed my feelings and attitude towards life. It was when I it was like I was a whole new person. I was ecstatic to be in Tibet. Went to sleep while a smile on my face every night. On our second day, staying in this small town, I woke up feeling a little odd. Not bad, just odd. Like my normal thoughts and feelings had been turning down low, like on a dial. We all decided to go for a walk on the hills right behind the town, there where there was a small summit with a pile of rocks and some prayer flags. To be honest, there were little altars like these on every hill, but it gave us something to do. As we hiked up the hill behind the town, I started feeling stranger and stranger. I wasn't scared and I didn't feel angry or any strong emotions. In fact, it was like emotions was trickling out of me somehow. And I was getting blanker and blanker, emptier and emptier. My mind started feeling a little hazy and more I felt like I simply didn't care about anything. A small and rapid a small and rapidly dwindling part of myself started to panic, knew that something bad was about to happen, but it was like my own inner voice was slowly getting quieter and quieter. I remember we reached the little summit and I simply sank to the ground next to the pile of rocks. Without meaning to, I started toning down, toning out the voices around me, and I fixed all my attention to the little pebbles in the dirt. I began tapping one against another rapidly. Do you know the kind of horror that is opposite of feeling scared of feeling anything at all? The kind of vacuous hideousness of a fly buzzing against a closed window for hours and on end on an empty room. That's what I was feeling in my mind. It was demonic and it was meaningless. I touched my face and felt I was grinning or something through all the emptiness of I thought floated to the forefront of my mind. You should just die. At first it sounded totally reasonable, but something in me fought it and I was momentarily troubled. Right then my group started to walk down the hill and I followed. The further we walked, the more normal I felt. Until we left the town that afternoon and I was totally freaked out when another girl, Hannah, mentioned in an odd offhand way that she felt very strange and depressed while staying there. I told her that I felt the same. When the group leader mentioned that a local had told him that the town had been plagued with a rash young woman under 25 committing suicide, Hannah and I went white. Again with the suicide stories. If if you guys feel trouble, would you guys say it out loud? What if you're with your best friend and all of a sudden you feel distressed, or you just feel like if you just want to stop? Would you tell your friend, or would you tell that person that's right next to you, that's so very close to you? Like I said, committing suicide is just not the way to go. You know, it's not fun. And like I said, I don't want to read no stories involving you guys on my podcast next year and be like, well, I warned them and now look at them. Come on. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's just like that one song that goes like, don't worry, be happy now. And I forgot the beat, okay? Just don't worry and be happy. Everything will be okay. Whatever it is, it'll go away, you know? Just wait for it. And just like my mom would say, wait for it sitting down, because if you wait for it standing up, you're going to get tired. Okay? So this next story is called "The Dog What the Dog Knew" by Eon Flux 072. In my old apartment, my dog would, on occasion, look down the hallway towards the bedroom, front of the living room, and growled, for no apparent reason. Also, on occasion, when I was sleeping in the bedroom, she slept at the foot of my bed. I would wake up with her staring intently at the door and growling. She was a big girl, 140 pounds, of Great Dane, Catahoula, and slobber. So, I'm there for a couple of years of just thinking, okay, my dog has a good imagination. Wrong. One night, I woke up due to my dog growling, but barking for all she was worth. And not at the door, she was barking straight at me. I opened my eyes pretty much immediately, and there was a blur of light leaning over me, very close, certainly less than 6 inches from my face. It was not distinguishable as a person. It more resembled a person-sized version of a colorful nebula you might see in a picture of in a science magazine, three-dimensional and all. I immediately got the distinct impression that this thing had been watching me sleep for God knows how long and how many times before. For all the for all the clarity of that distinct feeling, I had no sense of what it wanted, whether it was malevolent or just curious. I flipped right the fuck out, jumped backwards to the other side of the bed, too terrified to scream, and that blur of light receded and disappeared. Over the course of about 3 seconds, my dog was going absolutely ape. So shortly thereafter, I asked the building manager if anybody had ever died in there. She investigated that and came back to me a couple of weeks later with a yes. A woman had died of a drug overdose in the apartment in 1995. So 12 years earlier, shortly after having her child removed from her custody because of her addiction problems. My dog did still growl at the hallway from time to time, but I never saw it again. I moved out about a year later. I've had other encounters, but this thing was literally inches from my face, watching me sleep. Getting shivers now just writing about it. Animals are said to have this keen sense of somebody being there, somebody or something. And of course, since animals um, can't talk, what they can do is dogs they growl or cats they hiss. Birds and other animals just do their thing, right? There's an old wives' tale that it says that cats pretty much are like hand in hand with the devil himself. The the tale goes that supposedly the devil comes at night saying that he wants the owner's soul. And the cat says, "Yes, you may have it, but only if you can count all my hairs from the tip of my nose to the tip of my tail." And so the devil starts counting all night, just as it's about to be sunrise, and just as he's about to finish, the cat all of a sudden just shakes, and the devil loses its track and has to start all over some other night. But that's just an old wives' tale, right? Right? I mean, it could not be possible, right? What if it was true? I mean, I like cats as much as the next person, but what if it was true? Would you still see your cat the same way? Or would you have a little precaution of your cat? The last personal story. Hmm. I guess it's not, my story again, but I guess, it still considers the family story. So back when my mom, which like I told you guys a while back, she's my grandmother, but out of respect, I call her mom because she practically adopted me. My mom, when she was younger, she would have told me that she had, I believe, a German Shepherd at the time, and this was like a long time ago. Okay, like 1940, 1950s, around there, and they lived in Mexico. All right, so one night, one of her dogs all of a sudden started barking and scratching somewhere, like in a certain area, and her dad, my great great grandpa, right, said that he saw a figure, but the figure didn't do anything. All he did was just point at the ground that the dog was barking at. Said that to call the cops and have his body to rest. So he dug, and sure enough, he found a body right where he dug. The police came and took the body away. They didn't question too much of what happened, and all of a sudden just forgot about it, right? But he then went on by saying that he digged further when it was all clear, and to his surprise, apparently that person was a thief because he found what would look like a small fortune underneath him. Back in back in the day, having a small fortune meant a lot of things, so he didn't say a word. Would you would you kept would you okay. If you had the opportunity to find a small fortune underneath a hole that you just dug, would you keep it? Or would you call it in? Would you be a good Samaritan and say, "Yeah, I delivered that," or would you keep it for yourself, not knowing if there are consequences or not? What would you guys do? This next story is called "There's Something on the Stairs" and it's by Snarky Chew. So when I was a kid, I would race up the top of the stairs as fast as I could, like it was some sort of silly game. when I was about, I must have been 5 or 6 at the time. I'm not sure, but I knew I was very little. Somewhere along the way, a voice at the top of the stairs started to whisper to me. It would make bets with me, such as, I bet you a penny you can make it to the top of the stairs. I don't really think there was a certain amount of time or anything. As I said, I was very little, so I probably didn't have any content counting abilities anyway. I recall just sitting at the top of the stairs having conversation with this voice about betting, of course. Eventually, the voice, it was like a whisper of a man's voice, not my own voice in my head, started to bet me my life instead of pennies. I'd say, I bet you your life can make it up the stairs. Blah, blah, blah. As I got older, it stopped. I never really thought about it at all. I never mentioned it to anyone until one night. I was sleeping over at my brother's place. I was about 18 and he was 22. And we were talking about spooky stories. Just like we're talking right now in the podcast. Out of nowhere, I brought it up, the voice on top of the stairs, and my brother got all quiet and weird. Before I even mentioned the betting aspect, he said, "Did you make bets with it?" We both looked at each other, horrified. It certainly was freaky after a fact. A lot of sad shit went down in my family, and at that period of my life, and my mother, and heavily religious lady, said there was a lot of evil in our lives at the time. I don't at all think our place was haunted, by the way. It was built in the late 70s, and as I got older, I never experienced anything like that again. So, would you believe your eyes if you would have seen something out of place or would have seen something happen in front of it? Would you ever second guess your own eyes or would you believe in them? A lot of people say that the eyes are pretty much the windows to the soul, but how is that possible? You know? Now, if something would have told you if you wanted to bet, would you take it? Would you take that bet? Or would you just ignore it? There is a lot of things that say that malevolent spirits can be attached to something or somebody. And a lot of records over time states that fact. So what would you do if all of a sudden some religious lady said that your family was cursed by a very evil entity? Would you take it serious? Or would you think that she's just bluffing? I think we have enough time for one more. I don't want to drink any water right now because I don't really want to go to the bathroom again. I don't want to pause the podcast, so we're just gonna keep going. And I do apologize if I do voice crack every now and then with the story because, like I said, my throat is getting dry. So this next one is called The Drive-By, and it's by formerly Dick Movie. We were camping once, driving through some city. My dad was driving, my mom on the passenger seat, and I was kneeling behind them, leaning on the boot that separated the passenger seat, the truck. No, that separated the truck from the camper. It was evening, not full dark. We weren't really talking, and my mom was looking out the window. And she screams, "Oh my god. Oh my god, Gene, do you see it?" My dad said, "Yeah, I do. I'm going to slow down and let them by." He slowed the car on the right past us. Okay, he slowed and the car on the right passed us. I couldn't see inside but the windows was down, and the arm hanging out the window looked to be that of someone possibly thin. I asked my mom what she saw, and she said it was nothing. My dad backed her up. Years later, I asked them about it again. My mom said it was a skeleton. It was no mask, because you could see through the jaw. It had a tongue and eyes. It was death. My dad backed her up, but years later, after my mom was dead, recanted, saying it was a mask because nothing could survive like that. That was interesting. A lot of people in a lot of culture have their own way of describing what death looks like. If you come from Mexico, we have this thing called El Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. And have you guys seen the movie, the Book of Life? Pretty much, it pretty much explains how Day of the Dead works, and you know, and the saying that goes, "Someone isn't really gone if you still remember them," stays true. Because Day of the Dead pretty much is every year on November 2nd, I believe. November 1st is for the kids, and November 2nd is for the adults. I think that's how it goes. And like every year, you would put altars or whatever, and with the person's favorite food in them, with candles, and you just say a prayer and let the ghost eat, have a good time with their families. A lot of people don't, I myself included, don't find this holiday to be depressing. In fact, I find it to be joyful, because yet again you are reunited with that one person that you love, or someone that you knew, whether it be a friend or someone else. So by remembering your loved ones, they will never be forgotten. Okay? So even though if you're not Mexican, right? Let's say you're fully American, like I said before, or you're from somewhere else, Europe, Asia, celebrate that day. Make an altar, or whatever, however you want to say it, for your loved ones, and reunite with them for one night. That's the best thing that could happen. Don't forget your loved ones. But this story was pretty odd. A skeleton being death. What kind of car was he driving? I want to know. I think that is the very most important thing for me. I want to know what kind of car Death would drive. I mean, in my head, I think it would be like a old school Cadillac. Well, I mean, okay. Speaking of Death again, in Mexico, we call her La Catrina, which translates to ooh, I do forgot. So let's go to ye old YouTube right now and see how you say this in English. Huh. I guess it transferred to the dapper skeleton or the elegant skull. We see Death as a woman, as that's why the la is there in front of the name. Because if it was a guy, it would have been el. That's a little uh, something. If you guys are learning Spanish, it's a little something right there. La is pretty much for women. El is pretty much for men. So La Catrina, she is beautiful. Okay, elegant woman that comes to you after your life here is done. Hmm. Very, very pretty. So, thank you guys for coming. This has been episode 6 after all, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I do apologize once again. I should have taken care of business. I shouldn't have drank water. A lot of water, actually. So, I do apologize for that. Don't drink a lot of water, okay? I mean, drink the amount that you have to drink, but just don't drink a lot, because you're going to have to go. For today's movie recommendation, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it really, really hard. And then I came across a channel on YouTube, and I definitely recommend this channel. Now, let me put this out there. They don't pay me, all right? I have no content with what I'm trying to say here. I have no way to contacting them. Okay, so they didn't contact me, nothing. This is pretty much from my own personal and I like this channel a lot. All right, this channel is called Crypt TV. It's an amazing horror channel over on YouTube. Let's read. Its founders were Jack Davis and Ellie Ruth. The CEO is Jack Davis, and the key people there are Jack Davis, Ellie Ruth, Roth, Darren Brandy, COO, Kate Krantz, CCO, and Jason Bloom. Okay, and let me see. It was founded on 2015. Okay, so if you guys want to go check them out, I will try to leave a link in the description. But if I can't because I don't know how, I mean I should be able to know how, right? So, but yes, it's a pretty cool channel. Yeah, awesome visuals. You pretty much get Hollywood quality clips on like 10-minute or 5-minute video. Super awesome channel. You guys should go check it out. Like I said, not sponsored by them or nothing. Just my own personal recommendation. If you guys want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. With that being said, guys, thank you guys for coming. I really do appreciate it. Episode 6 and the first weekend of the podcast, the After Dark podcast. Hopefully you guys are having a really good weekend, and hopefully you guys will start the week with a good note. Okay? With that being said, guys, thank you guys for coming. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so. I'll leave a link in the description below. We can chat, we can chat, okay? We can chat. You can send pictures, send memes, because I like to laugh, and who doesn't, right? Also, if you guys want to send any scary stories that you guys have, or, if you guys make up, like I said, a scary story doesn't have to be a paragraph long. I like reading those 2 sentences stories that get right to the point. I like it. If you guys want to do that, you can, send the stories to me over on Twitter. And my Twitter, with the hashtag The After Dark Podcast or hashtag TADP. Again, the hashtag is hashtag The After Dark Podcast or hashtag TADP. Alright? So, all together. Also, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, you can do so as well. I am an artist. I do draw, okay? I like to draw. And sometimes I live stream in there my drawings, and maybe tomorrow I'll live stream. Maybe. I don't know. I'll live stream on Instagram. Just for a little bit. Not for like an hour long, because, I got things to do, like I said. But yeah, I'll do that. I post every Wednesday and Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. California time. But since it is October, I am partaking in the Inktober challenge, which I am drawing every day. This is the reason why I'm thinking of live streaming, so one of these days, okay? And I post every day now, but at random times because, like I said, I do have things to do, and I, you know, have a life. Come on. Wish I could draw all day, because if I could, I would have been the best. So, thank you guys for coming. I really do appreciate it. You guys are the best. And on that note, remember to always look under the bed. Check the closet for monsters. And always, and I mean always, look behind you, because you may never know who is watching you from afar. Peace out, everybody. Have a great night, and have a great weekend as well.